listeners out there. This is T-Bone and J-Man, and this is Running Code, Humor in South Texas Law Enforcement. I'm your host, T-Bone, along with my partner, as always, is J-Man. J-Man, say hi to the listeners.
What's up, listeners? It's J-Man.
As you can tell, he's very expressive. So, we're new to this, and we feel we got things to say. Both of us combined law enforcement experience, almost 20 years at this point. So, there's not much we haven't seen or done, and it just gets dumber as it goes on. So, we've learned over time that humor is the best way to deal with the stuff we see and the idiots we deal with on a daily basis. So, this show is going to be geared more towards the humor in law enforcement, the funny things we see. We're trying to avoid the tragic and the unhappy because, oh, hell, that brings us all down. I think J-Man probably agree with that.
Oh, yeah. No, got to keep that, what do you want to call it, objective optimism?
That's right. Objective optimism. I like that. We should coin that phrase and stick it in our policies. So both of us work for different agencies, but we're still in the same area. But we both deal with the same idiots. And as every cop can agree, idiots are universal, whether you're a cop in Baja, California, all the way to Maine. Idiot's an idiot. Cop's a cop. Idiot's an idiot. They don't really change. The only thing that changes is the scenery and the uniforms. And some of the more restrictive local policy, depending if you have a super liberal district attorney or a very moderate district attorney. And unfortunately, down in this area, this one seems to be more liberal. So it's causing us our own brand of problems. But we're not going to talk politics on this show because nobody wants to hear that shit. Remember, we don't talk about politics. Another one's spouse. So we're going to leave those two options out. So, J-Man, what are we going to talk about today?
I think we should talk about DWIs, other known as DWIs, because if there's nothing more funnier than someone being contacted by law enforcement is when they are drunk.
I'd have to agree with that. I think that's a universal problem and universally hilarious. Anybody can go on YouTube and find 10,000 videos of just absolute people that should not have been behind the wheel to begin with and add alcohol, and they're twice as dumb.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
J-Man here has got a good story about a DWI he dealt with a while back. And for our listeners out there, I used to be a DWI officer and I'm a DWI instructor. So I've seen a few myself on a nightly basis back when I did it professionally every night. I'm no longer in that unit. Thank you, Jesus. J-Man, take it away.
All right. So interesting. Get a call for a 2-vehicle accident. And one guy actually drove away from the scene of the accident. If you can guess, that was the drunk party.
No.
He ended up getting stopped at an intersection, and the car that the other driver that got struck by his car actually held him for us when we got there. So, we do all the tests. He's drunk as can be. It can't get any better. Get him in the car, and the whole entire way down towards the jail proceeds to tell me about how we would be cellmates together, how I would be, quote unquote, sucking his dick in a cell. Then he would jump to bribing me with between $5,000 to $10,000 that he doesn't have. It's funny. It's the greatest thing ever.
Well, you did an inventory on this gentleman in a search, I assume, when you arrested him. Did you find evidence of that kind of money he was willing to part with?
Negative. If anything, I probably found like maybe a nickel and some Tootsie Roll wrapper.
And what was this gentleman driving? Was it a Bentley? Was it a Maserati?
Well, it's kind of funny that you mentioned that. He told me that his luxury vehicle was in the shop. So I think he was driving a Mitsubishi.
All right, the high end. Okay, probably the Galant. Yeah. So he's clearly rolling in money. He probably wouldn't even get $10,000 for the Mitsubishi, especially after he crashed it. Maybe it's over the insurance settlement.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Did you charge this individual with bribery?
No, I couldn't. Honestly, in my heart of hearts, I couldn't because it made me laugh. He made me laugh. It's too stupid. Just too stupid to want to charge him. It was just funny.
See, there's a note, listeners. If you make your officer laugh, you have a better shot of not getting extra charges on top of what you already got from the initial contact. So there you go. There's a tip, listeners. Make us laugh.
We'll just single it up to charging it to the game.
Yeah. Okay.
Charge it to the game.
We'll go with that. So one of the funniest stories I had was a young lady. I will not mention who she worked for. I pulled her over on the highway, driving with no headlights on, the wrong way down the highway. And this young lady is one of those young ladies that not used to be hearing the word no from men, dressed very scantily and incredibly intoxicated. This is about 3 a.m. at this point. Okay. And I'll get to why that's important here in a minute. So I get her pulled over finally after she runs over several curbs, murders a few trees. I finally get her stopped. And I got her stopped 100 yards from her apartment. Like, she literally kept pointing out to me, that's my apartment. There's that light on is my apartment. And I told her, oh, you almost made it, which I paid for that comment in court, by the way, ladies and gentlemen.
So word to the wise, never, ever, ever, ever make comments that you'll pay for later.
Yep. And I have made a few. I'm famous for it, actually. My boss hates it. When he reviews my body camera footage, I just see him shaking his head and banging his head off his keyboard when he watches my footage. But so far, so good. And I think a lot of it is because I do my job at the end of the day. But he's warned me multiple times to kind of knock that off. So back to this young lady who, for simplicity, we'll call Yvette. That is not her name, but we'll call her Yvette.
Yvette. I like Yvette.
So my partner shows up just to provide security, and I think he was just bored. And I get her out of the vehicle, and she's incredibly intoxicated. I can see where she has urinated on herself, and her top is buttoned in 3 shades of wrong. Buttons do not line up any longer. So bloodshot, glassy eyes, slurred speech, the whole what we consider to be normal for an intoxicated driver, the obvious signs of impairment, right?
Right.
So I get her out of the car, and she's initially compliant and cooperative, but kept saying, I have to work in the morning. I have a meeting with a federal agency that I will not identify. She had a meeting with them in about 6 hours. And
how that
I
went.
just said, well, let's see how we do here first. I already knew she was going to jail before the first pass on the HGN. I already knew she was going to jail. That ship had sailed when she went the wrong way down the highway. So I do the field sobriety test. Every clue you can imagine. Nailed them all of them. So it was what it was. I put her in handcuffs. She started spouting off with this is why nobody likes you fuckers. This is why we shoot you fuckers. Bear in mind, this young lady works for a governmental agency in this county. The one that's supposed to be on the side of us. So I can already see where she's not getting her way now, and she's used to getting her way. It's not working out for her. So she became a little irate. She's 4'10", weighs about 80 pounds. I don't want to manhandle her, but she won't get in the car. And my partner doesn't want to manhandle her because, again, she's 4'10", 80 pounds. It just doesn't look good. So we're trying to get her in the car without manhandling her in the car. After, 20 minutes of negotiating, which I don't normally negotiate. I don't negotiate with terrorists. I don't negotiate with drunks. But again, in the public eye these days, manhandling a woman, it doesn't look good no matter how deserved, justified, or legal. Finally get her in the car. My partner stays behind. He inventories the vehicle for tow. We're out of here. Driving down to the jail. She's yelling and cussing. And then she tells me she has to use the bathroom. I'm like, well, there's bathrooms down at the jail. You're going to have to wait. She doesn't like that answer. And it gets real quiet in the backseat. I don't hear anything. And I turn on so our police cars have backseat cameras. And I turned on the backseat camera to watch her.
Standard.
She pulls her yoga pants down with her handcuffs and proceeds to squat and defecate on the seat of my patrol car.
Ooh,
on the plastic seats.
Some county jail action.
Yeah. So I got a little agitated and tapped the brakes, and she landed in it. And I made her sit in that the whole way down to jail, which was about 20 miles from where we were. So, of course, now her chief complaint is that she has caca in her hoo-hoo. I believe she said that several times. So I'm trying not to laugh at this point because you created this mess. You're going to sit in it. I'm not pulled over to clean you and the Tahoe up. It is what it is. We have trustees. Get all the way down to the jail. By now, the whole Tahoe reeks. I don't know what she ate. Tacos and tequila. It just reeks. And, of course, she did smell like tequila, and that was the alcohol identified. When she made it, she drank 9 margaritas, 4 shots, and several beers, but tried to tell me she was okay to drive home.
Hey, you either go big or go home.
She went big. I think going the wrong way down the highway is going big. That would have made my night a lot longer if she'd hit another car head on. So get her inside. She consents. Oh, I'll give you a breath. All right, let's do breath because it's just a misdemeanor DWI. I don't need to get blood if I don't have to. Let's get breath. 0.28. So she was a little intoxicated, and I'm booking her in, and she told me, "You cost me my job," and I won't say the other words she used, not in today's environment, but they were not complimentary.
Never is.
It never is. Just once, I'd like a shithead to say, I fucked up and I'm sorry and you got me, thank you. Just once. I might actually let that asshole go, depending on what it is. So, J-Man and I can tell you, there's a million stories like that from all across the U.S. Drunks are pretty universal. It doesn't matter whether they're in Malibu, San Francisco, Miami. It doesn't matter. A drunk's a drunk the way they act. Some are compliant when they're caught. Some decide they're going to fight you because, hey, what can make the situation better? Let's fight the cops.
Oh, yeah.
So that always makes these situations better. So DWI is near and dear to me only because of the heartache and tragedy it causes. And like I said, we're going to try to keep this funny, but there are serious messages in some of these stories we're going to tell. And one of them is people get an Uber, get a ride.
Absolutely. Get an Uber, get Lyft, whatever it is, another buddy, something. It's not worth it.
What we tell our guys is, look, if you know you're going to go out and drink, just Uber from your house to the bar and then Uber back. That way you don't have to leave your car at the bar, which could be potentially broken into. And you don't got to worry about it. And then your car's home when you wake up hungover and pissed off. And that girl that gave you a number turns out to be a fake number. And hey, we lived to be mad another day. So my issue with the DWIs is it's so easy just to for the options out there, and they just don't take them. I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe just with the state of mind just gives that, no, I got this, I can do it. Or it's been done countless times before and nothing's happened yet. There's also that too.
I think you're closer on that one.
Yeah, I think it's that too.
Statistically, they say that for every one we catch you, there's 50 that you did.
True, very true. 1 out of 50.
So I think that has a lot to do with it. They're just rolling the dice every night, figuring if I get away with it eventually, I'll get caught. But hey, it won't be tonight. Might not be tonight. And unfortunately, some nights is their night, or even worse, they kill somebody. Again, we want to keep this funny, but like I said, there's a serious message in this: is people ain't worth it. And sadly, it's not just regular Joes that get caught up doing it. We got law enforcement officers that get caught up in it, and I think a lot of them think that my badge will get me out of it. And unfortunately, those days are long gone, and that's probably a good thing. We want everybody to be held accountable.
Absolutely.
But it really sucks to wake up hearing that an officer in your agency, you got a DWI, and all you can think of is, why didn't you call me, man? I'd have come and got you.
Mm-hmm.
So it stops being funny at that point because we want the public to trust us. Pretty damn hard for the public to trust us.
Yeah.
When, hey, you got 5 officers this year in your agency that got a DWI, and you're looking down like, well, I didn't, so let's continue. You do lose that moral high ground. So that's kind of my issue with DWIs. And in general, they're dangerous, obviously. Even if you hurt nobody and you get caught, you're still going to pay 10 to 15 grand for your first DWI. It doesn't even count what happens in the second, third, and fourth DWIs. When it gets up to prison time, here in Texas, I don't know the statutes in every state. Here in Texas, third or more can land you in prison depending on county you're in.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want to go to my cell and find out my cellmate's in there for killing 3 people, and then you're in there for DWI third. Guess who's going to be bitched real quick? So, not really a bragging right on the yard. So that's my issue with it. And J-Man, you deal with them quite a bit. Sadly, it's one of those problems that's never going to go away. It reaches every demographic, rich to poor, old to young, black and white, tall, skinny. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
I've gotten drunk drivers in every demographic there is.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's one constant that I remember just going through the law enforcement academy is just crime does not know any particular demographic or set or type of individual. It may be prevalent in certain demographics or areas, but it does not discriminate. Crime is crime all across the board.
Absolutely. The only difference is the rich have better lawyers.
That should be coined.
You know what? I think I just coined a phrase, listeners. The rich have better lawyers. What's that saying? You get all the justice in this country you can afford.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be honest. If O.J. Simpson would have been nobody, he'd have gone to the chair within a couple of years. But he's O.J., so he had Johnny Cochran and F. Lee Bailey and was able to muddy the waters. We all knew he was guilty as hell. I, in fact, know the lead detective on that case. So justice is dollar signs. These days, it's dollar signs. Sadly, justice is not blind like it should be. And nothing more frustrating than you arrest a person that has plenty of money. They're going to get enough lawyers. They're not going to do a day in jail for aggravated robbery or aggravated assault or intoxication manslaughter. They'll get, suspended sentences, which just drive me up the wall.
Mm-hmm. Well, that could also segue into something that is probably funny in the law enforcement community, just maybe with us in general, is your expected outcome when you arrest somebody versus what the DA's office suggests and what they do. I always find that funny.
Yeah.
Lower convictions on crimes that you can easily prove versus crimes that you can't prove. It's just funny. Or crimes that you would figure it'd be easier to prosecute. Like, for example, not the case, already closed. Stopped a guy for running the stop sign, blatantly. Didn't even California stop. Just right on through. So takes a while to pull over. A couple of things run through my mind, but More or less, I'm just like, okay, let's see where this guy stops so we can just take the right action. Guy, for some reason, drove to his job. Maybe he thought home base was like, I'm at work, you can't get me no more.
Seen that one before, yeah.
He proceeds to stop, parks directly in front of his place of employment, looks at me, and it just beelines inside. And I guess he was trying to plead with his manager to like tell me something. So I get him, wrap him up, control him, cuff him. And fast forward to, it's time to make a deal time. I get a call from the DA's office that, okay, we're just going to prosecute him for possession of marijuana instead of evading arrest or detention when he decided to flee the traffic stop. And my question in my head was, well, why? Because we could easily prove that he ran from a traffic stop.
Yep.
He's
evading it.
It's the simplest thing, but they were going to need me to testify to him running from my traffic stop when there's video evidence. Also, and that just made me laugh because you would think with it comes to easier cases or easier charges to prosecute, that was just the main one. So I don't know. It's your expectation versus what actually happens is pretty funny.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that too, because I've seen that before. The whole, you get him on camera, it's plain as day. There's no disputing it. And later comes back, well, and I'll give you a great example of this was all on camera. At an amusement park in the area, I got jumped on Halloween night with 2019 by 5 guys. I managed to get 2 of them into custody. One was 18, the other one was almost 30 years old. The 30-year-old had an active warrant for felony family violence, and he got 8 years for assaulting me. The 18-year-old, the case got dismissed, and because he was only 18 and his mother was always complaining, or mother was down at the DA's office every day complaining that he's only 18 and this will ruin his life. So let's forego the attacking an armed police officer and let's not ruin his life at 18, which was already ruined. So I've seen this. And sadly, what you're seeing these days a lot because the court's backed up ever since COVID, fucked the whole planet, is now they're just handing out 5-year suspended sentences just to clear the docket. Like, hey, you plead guilty, we'll give you a 5-year suspended sentence, which means wink, wink, don't fuck up again here in the next 5 years. We know they're going to, but when they do, they treat it as a whole separate issue instead of he didn't fulfill his end of the bargain, throw his ass in the clink. And frankly, it's, some days it gets it wears on you a little bit.
Yeah, I can imagine. It does. Especially, I guess that's why I have that objective optimism.
Love that phrase, J-Man. Love that phrase.
Is what I have, because if I was to just think about, oh, you know what? Maybe the DA's office will do the right thing this one time, and then when they ultimately don't, I can laugh about it later. It's like
getting kicked in the dick every so long. After a while, it's just a dull throb instead of a sharp pain. You're just so used to it. What's the really annoying part is having to go down and actually fight your case in front of an intake DA who's not even going to try the case, and you're staring at him like a monkey does a math problem, going, "This is a slam dunk. Like, just sign the damn case." And they all seem to want to prosecute and try the case right there. I'm like, no. Probable cause for the arrest meets the elements of the offense, meets intake. Have a nice day. And I've noticed that in this county versus the surrounding counties, which are very, very conservative, versus this county, which is very, very liberal. They don't seem to have those problems, and their judges have no problem throwing people in prison in those counties. Funny story. Guy was running from the next county over, and he was running into this county. And I got the call over the radio saying that they're going to be coming up on me any minute. So I'm sitting on the county line. Asshole goes by me. I light him up. He pulls over immediately. Instantly pulls over. Okay, felony stop time. We felony stop. Get him out of the car. Get him handcuffed. Throw him in my Tahoe. And he's like, okay, cool. We're going to we're going down to the jail.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, no, you didn't commit a crime in this county. You committed the crime in that county, and they're going to take you. And he flipped out because he figured if he got arrested in this county, then he was good. He was going to get tried in this county, convicted in this county. The news I had to break his little heart was that, no, you committed the offense in that county, and if you'd have kept going in this county, then we would charge you in this county for the evading. And then when we're done with you, we're still going to turn you over to that county because they still want a piece of your ass or whatever it was that they were chasing you to begin with. Mm-hmm. So you should have seen the fight he threw. You'd have thought they were taking him to the electric chair that day. I mean, it took 6 of us to get him out of my Tahoe, get him in their Tahoe, and they took him straight to the jail in their county because he didn't commit an offense in this county.
Yep,
and
absolutely.
For those of you that don't know Texas law, you have to take him before the magistrate, the nearest magistrate. Well, he got lucky because we map quested it, and our jail was 2 miles further than their jail. So guess what? You're going to their jail.
Oh, yeah.
If it had been ours, I'd have had to take him. We'd had to take him to mine, but they would have remanded him and warranted him and taken him right back to that county. So that's the kind of crap we're seeing is that these idiots know which counties give them the free ride and which counties will hammer you.
Oh, yeah.
Which has, I think, really, getting back to our original, was the DWI. Nobody takes it serious in this county because even the courts don't take it serious.
Oh, no.
So, and I think a lot of it is, I learned this as a DWI officer, was that you're not trying to convince the jury this person was intoxicated. You're convincing the jury that this person's drunker than they are when they all drive drunk. That way to make them feel better about giving a guilty verdict. And I think that when I finally figured that out, the juries don't like 0.08s, right on the nose. Because like, oh, hell, we all do that in their head. That's what they're thinking. They want the guy who's so drunk that he falls on his face just trying to stand there, before you even start the walk and turn, he falls on his face. Like, okay, I've never been that drunk. Chances are good they were drunk the night before, just like that. So that's been the hardest part for us. Well, that filters to every level of crime in this county. And sadly, you get cities like Portland, Seattle, San Francisco, Chicago, Baltimore, New York City, where the crime is just going through the roof because of lax prosecution policies from district attorneys that we don't want to put Mijo in prison because dad's a voter, mom's a voter. Oh, yeah. We want them to vote Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
But you go to counties like Brevard, Broward, Pinal County with Sheriff Lamb out there in Arizona, Sheriff Arpaio in Phoenix. They don't play that game out there. And those guys run to the other counties all the time because they know they get caught, they're going down. They're going down for the hard time.
Yeah. So I guess, and this is just me trying to make a correlation here, is it that more liberal county DAs offer funnier instances or funnier encounters with law enforcement just to stay on the lighter side of things?
Yeah, I agree with that.
And that's really unfortunate because we know the opposite side, which would, if we were to go on a more serious note, what comes with that. But that's just kind of interesting. So I wonder, it's like a tragic comedy. It's like Shakespearean almost.
It is. He had what? He had comedy. He had, comedy, drama.
Uh-huh.
We like the comedy side of it, but unfortunately, sometimes that crosses over to where it does impair us in the ability to do our job, makes us ineffective. And I hear there's some good citizens. You don't hear from the quiet majority. You hear from the silent minority, or you hear from the loud minority, not the quiet majority. The quiet majority goes to work, follows the law, goes home to their lives, and stays and minds their own business. As we wish in law enforcement, most people just mind their own business. What you hear from is the loud minority who think that this should be legal and that should be legal, but they don't think of the longer consequences of that.
Yep.
I mean, you brought up marijuana earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Do I personally have a problem with marijuana? No, I don't personally have an issue with it. I think if people smoked more and drank less, we'd have less problems.
Right.
Alcohol leads to, there should be a warning label on alcohol that says, warning, this will turn you into the same asshole your dad was. You don't see that warning on marijuana. I've never fought a pothead. I never rolled around on the street with a pothead. I've never had to go really hands-on with a pothead. I can't think of one instance in 10 years where I've actually had to go hands-on with a pothead.
Uh-huh.
Drunks, all the time. Meth, all the time. Heroin, all the time. Cocaine, all the time. Crack, fentanyl, oxy, absolutely. Marijuana, no. All they want is me to stop at the nearest gas station on the way for a bag of chips. If more people smoke weed, the domestic violence rate would go way down.
Yeah.
You'd be too stoned to fight. You just want to hang out, watch TV, eat a bag of Cheetos, fall asleep. I think it's great. Obviously, my leanings lean more towards Donald Trump, far right Donald Trump versus far left current sitting president.
Uh-huh. Yeah, absolutely.
So I believe crime should pay. However, I'm also old enough to know that some things aren't maybe like they used to appear. When I was growing up, weed was bad. Weed was a destroyer of lives, and it wrecked homes. And I haven't seen that problem in 10 years of law enforcement. I've seen alcohol ruin lives and homes.
Oh, absolutely.
Meth, heroin, coke, crack, oxy, fentanyl, Xanax.
Oh,
Never seen a life ruined by marijuana unless it was a crash because they chose to smoke and drive. That's my issue with it.
Mm-hmm.
Stay home, smoke a joint, eat your chips, pass out in front of the TV. That's a solid plan for the night. You're not going to hurt anybody. And I can't think of anyone who's ever overdosed from weed.
Oh, yeah.
I've never heard of an overdose from weed. Even THC oil, that's going to knock you out before it kills you.
Mm-hmm.
But you can easily overdose anything, even alcohol. We've seen it. We've seen alcohol overdose deaths.
Oh, yeah.
21 years old, go to the bar the first time, they do 21 for 21 shots of tequila or whiskey or whatever, and it kills them.
Yep.
No one's ever smoked 21 joints and passed or died. You can ask Snoop Dogg. We'll see if we can get him on the show one day.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't have a personal problem with marijuana. It's great PC to search cars. We find other things, stolen guns. But as cops, after doing this long enough, you can always tell the pothead who's just a pothead stoner versus the shithead who also smokes weed.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
You've seen it. I've seen it. You pull over the car full of gangbangers. They're all clearly gang members, whether that's one of the local varieties or more of the statewide varieties versus the 19-year-old college stoner who's just on the way home from the 2-year college up the street, and they're, dude, I just want to get home. Yeah, that one's probably not going to have a gun. That one's probably not going to fight you.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing at that point, going back to DWI, is he impaired? If he's not, just kick him down the road. These days in this county, we have what's called cite and release, and you're starting to see it more and more in other counties as well, where we don't even take them down to jail anymore. We issue them what looks like a ticket. In actuality, it's not a ticket. It's an actual offense, but it looks like a ticket. We tell them, look, you're going to have court down the road. Bye, get the hell out of here. The downside is we got to drive the weed all the way back downtown to the evidence room where cases can be dismissed in a week.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as they see it's marijuana, dismissed. So it really just annoys me that we waste our time with it.
But see, that's the comedy part of it because someone has to do it. Someone has to do it.
The only fun part is you take their weed away and they look at you with those just shattered eyes. You just taken my quad and I've got to go buy another quad for 40, 50, 60 bucks, whatever it is. And it's funny, as I always ask them, how much does quad cost you? And they'll tell me anywhere from 40 to 80, depending on what it was. And then, well, this is going to the evidence room. And you can just see it in their eyes. Hey. Their soul eyes.
Quad lives matter.
Another phrase we're going to coin.
No, I think maybe even just a disclaimer out there. I used to work at local county jail, and people that would come in for marijuana possession before we started doing cite and release, it was always funny because I would make jokes about what type of weed they were found with. And it's always funny. Reggie. Common name for probably some of the most lower quality marijuana that's out there.
Shitweed. Yeah. Fritz. More seed than weed.
Dirt weed, yeah. And it's just funny. I remember telling the guy, I was like, oh, they found you. I'm like, oh, you'll be fine. It was like, it's just a Class B misdemeanor. Don't worry about it. You get a PR bond and get out of here. He's like, yeah, that's true, boss. I'm like, you also know what else? Like, yeah. Like, what? Oh, it's just Reggie anyway. You were caught with the Reggie, weren't you? The Reginald. And he's just like, no, not me ever. I only smoke the highest grade.
Yeah, they get defensive.
Like, this place is audio and video recorded, right? You might want to just calm down a little bit there.
Oh no, they get very defensive. Like, how dare you assume that I smoke the worst weed? I only get caught with the finest, Reggie. I pulled a kid over who had more seed than weed. I couldn't even and this is before body cameras, folks, and the statute of limitations expired. I couldn't take him in on that because it was literally more seed than weed. And it wasn't, it smelled like marijuana, but there was nothing in the bag that you could actually smoke. So I was looking at it. I'm like, kid, you got ripped off. I said, look, I'm not going to take you to jail, but where'd you buy this crap? If anything, I just want to see who's selling this crap. And I'm probably not going to arrest him. Honestly, it's more seed than weed. So let me, he finally, I was down the street and I knew who he was talking about. No, okay, that ding dong. I've dealt with him before. But it was like, it wasn't even worth the arrest. How am I going to tell a jury this is weed? I'm looking at it going, well, everybody on the weeds probably smoked weed at one time or another. They laugh. I've wasted my time. I've wasted his time and put him through the system for what?
Oh, yeah.
So that's why I just laughed. All right, kid, whatever. Get the hell out of here. And I crushed it out. And you could see his eyes just die. I'm like, dude, you wouldn't have got nothing out of this. You'd inhaled seeds with every draw. Now, full disclosure, I'd never smoked weed in my life. I just never have. I was raised on a ranch. It was beer and cigarettes, My brother's the big old pothead. And, he can tell me all day long about this strain, that strain. It goes in one ear out the other with me because do I personally give a shit about it? No, I don't. But do I think it's the big deal that it was made out to be when I was a kid? No, not one iota. As an adult now and as a cop who's been doing this 10 years. I doubt I'm going to have a homicide for marijuana. Now that's at the low level users, not obviously the big sellers of pounds where they might actually kill somebody. We're talking about the street user that buys a quad, goes home, stops for a bag of Cheetos and Taco Bell on the way, and then just passes out in his underwear watching whatever the hell these idiots watch.
Oh yeah,
So again, wanting to keep this funny is marijuana. Honestly, it's its own little subculture, and I don't really know much about it. I don't really want to know much about it, just because that's not my speed, it's not my style. But dealing with the end users can sometimes be hysterical.
Oh yeah,
I've seen them so high that luckily they weren't driving, and I have arrested, sadly, people for DWI for marijuana because they were that high.
Oh yeah,
no, you can't drive.
Oh, you're just as dangerous.
You're just as dangerous. Your reaction time is still low. Your perception's off. Yeah, you're dangerous. But you get your daily users, the ones you use all the time. If you didn't smell it, 9 out of 10, you really wouldn't know unless you knew what to look for. And the only ones that are going to forget to know are cops and other, weed users. Everyone else can have no idea this person's high. And so it brings its own set of challenges. I've searched cars because the smell of weed gives me the probable cause to search the car. And you find a gun, it's stolen. Well, now we have something else.
Yeah.
Something a little more serious. 9 out of 10, though, when they're just stoners, there's nothing else in the car. And 9 out of 10, they'll be honest with you up front. Hey, man, look, just tell me the truth. What do you really have in here? Don't lie to me. Honesty goes a long way. And when they actually trust me and they give me just what they have, 9 out of 10, it disappears.
Oh, yeah.
It goes down for site release and the charge is dropped in a week.
Yeah.
Problem solved because they were honest with me.
Or even lower, possession of drug paraphernalia.
Oh, yeah, just a Class C.
Just
PDP.
Class C.
So, honestly, I'm hoping they legalize it. Just legalize this shit already. One, we can make so much revenue off it. Let's just be honest. And if they legalize it, 50% of the profits should go to law enforcement. Your local law enforcement agency, 50% of the tax profits. Yeah. Law enforcement.
That would never happen because it's not for us.
Yep, that is not our crowd.
That is not for us.
But you know what? You could tax that, sell it at $50 a pack. People will buy it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it is a money maker. Now, does it come with its own set of problems? Oh yeah, they've had nothing but problems with it in Colorado, California, Oregon, Washington.
Impaired driving,
but mainly that has been the biggest problem. Impaired driving. Did it change the rates of impaired driving though? No, I don't think it actually changed the rates of impaired driving. It just went more from alcohol to marijuana.
Right.
Other than that, it's still the same idiots driving impaired. So they're still behind the wheel of a 5,000-pound car high. So, but in terms of the murder rate, no, it didn't raise the murder rate. It didn't raise the theft rate. It didn't raise because nobody's stealing. You've seen Half Baked.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember the scene where Bob Saget's asking, "Do you ever suck dick for marijuana?" And he says, "No." Okay, it's not an addiction. I've never heard of anyone selling themselves or giving up an orifice for a quad.
No.
So, no. I think in terms of all the drugs out there, it's probably on the low end of the scale. Because you've seen the tragic horror stories from people that prostitutes and human trafficking victims who they get them caught up in heroin or Xanax or whatever it takes to get their control, and then they're stuck on this crap, and they're doing things that would normally never done in a million years that a year prior wouldn't even cross their mind, and now it's their daily life over that. But never weed.
No,
never heard that before.
I really cannot think at all.
I've been to a couple human trafficking conferences, and no, weed never came up.
Yeah,
and it was usually heroin or fentanyl.
No, yeah, for sure. Marijuana is one of those. I guess just also universally, it's just seen as like the funny laughter, just drug. It's just causes funniness as a byproduct.
Yeah.
And it is. It absolutely is.
They find crap funny that normally they don't, but that day they find it hysterical. Well, hey, more power to you, brother. Whatever makes you happy. Just do it at home. Oh, yeah. And that's what I tell people all the time. I pull them over like, look, guys, I don't care if you have it. Just keep it at home.
Oh, yeah.
Don't have it in your damn car where I can smell it when you pass me the windows down and I'm looking at all four of you and you're looking at me like stoners. It's like, I really want to deal with this crap today. And then they run a red light. Well, no, I guess I'm going to have to.
They ran the red light because they're too busy focused on you.
Yeah, they're staring at me, not the road. So I wouldn't even say it's the weed. They're just busy staring at me going, oh, shit, we have weed. So that made him dangerous there on that one. But oh, hell, sober people run red lights all day long, too. And as a traffic officer, and that's for the listeners that don't know, I am a traffic officer by trade. That is what I do. That's what I deal with on a daily basis is the moving violation, speeding, and all that crap. And, people bitch and complain about getting tickets. They complain. But I've learned there's two things you can't give back One, you can't get back time ever, and two, money is hard to replace. Hit them in the wallet, and every time you start to speed, your wallet's going to pinch your ass and remind you that cost me $200 last time. Maybe I should slow it the hell down.
Oh yeah, and just since we're on that topic of just keeping things humorous, traffic stops for citations. Oh my goodness, they can be just as funny. And just kind of like my take, I stop for moving and equipment violations. But if I typically stop one person for like 2 or more, I try to give them the least of the offenses. So if you got one for fail to signal a lane change and maybe fail to yield right away or use a turn signal, but I see you haven't updated your driver's license in 30 days. It's actually been like 8 months. I'll probably give you a ticket just for the failure to update your driver's license. Real simple.
It's a non-moving violation. It doesn't hurt their record. They fix it.
Right.
We all move on.
But I've gotten very funny reactions from that because people feel like they should get one for the more serious one because they feel like it's worth their time. I don't understand the logic because if I stop you for fail to signal a lane change, find out you have no insurance and you haven't updated your driver's license in a year as far as the address here in the state of Texas, why would you want to get a ticket for no insurance? It can be $600 at a minimum, and they can suspend your license here in the state of Texas if you do not pay because of surcharge fees. But I've had people get mad at me for writing them a ticket for not updating their driver's license when there's 2 more that I could write them for. It's like the gratitude goes out the window, but you want me to you want me to be the one that has no, I guess, discretion and be the RoboCop and just give you the worst ones and not the least. It's funny. I find irony in that. I find irony in that.
I'd have to agree with you, actually. I give that one quite often because all you got to do is go online. It costs $11, change it, bring it to court, they dismiss it. Problem solved.
Yep.
Instead of paying the $165 for the violation, you pay $14 for the dismissal and $11 a new license for a total of, what is that, $25?
25
and you're done.
Yep.
And it's fixed. You don't have to worry about it anymore. And then we talked about whatever the speeding, whatever the original violation I stopped him for was, just don't do it again.
Yeah.
But these people, they don't use their brain. And we run into them. We run into Karens. I know
Karens.
The chief. I know the sheriff. I know the constable. I know whoever I know. Or, you were speeding too, or, shit like that. Or you get your sovereign citizens. And one day, guys, listeners, we're going to do a show on sovereign citizens. And we're going to get a lot of laughs for that hour. I deal with them quite a bit. J-Man's dealt with them before. We both dealt with them in the jail. We both dealt with them on patrol. They're a lot of fun sometimes. They can be dangerous, but they can also be a lot of fun. And it just depends on which one you run into. The true believer or just the one who saw a 5-minute video on YouTube and thought, hey, that looks like it worked. They never saw the whole video where the guy ends up getting his window shattered and dragged out through the glass, which is usually the end with the true believers.
Oh, yeah.
The idiots, eventually, when they realize it's not working,
they stop.
Go with the flow. I've dealt with a lot of true believers, and that always ends with a toe, broken glass, cut seatbelts.
Let me guess. Does it always start with the plate as not for commercial use?
Yeah. Or uniform commercial code, which hasn't been used in over a century. I know you get crap like that, and 9 out of 10 is because they don't have a license or suspended. And they think if I, like a magician, if I distract you with this hand, you won't pay attention to this hand, not realizing that we're not going to fall for it. At the end of the day, you're going to give me your license or an ID, something with your name and face, and we're going to run you. And my goodness, you have a suspended license. And I don't know about all other counties. In the county I reside in the county I work in, you don't go to jail for not having a license.
No.
We're just not going to take you in for it.
Nope.
We used to years ago. We don't. Jail's too full for that.
Mm-hmm.
We're one of the largest agencies in the entire state, if not the country.
Yeah.
We don't have time for that.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have time for that. So here's your citation. Have a nice day. When they're adults, I kick them down the road. When they're juveniles, no, mom and dad's going to come get you.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm not going to let an unlicensed teenager drive off. I already pulled them over for something. It was probably speeding more than likely. They're juveniles.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you're not in a license? I'm not letting you drive off. No, that's on me. I'm not doing it.
Oh, yeah.
So I kick them down the road. It's stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you try not to laugh at some of these stops. You walk up to the car, they're screaming out the window at you. And usually I walk up and I just stare at them. And I'll tell you why I stopped you when I get up to the window. I'm not going to holler from my car.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I tell them, I'm so-and-so, and this is why I stopped you. Oh, that wasn't me. Okay. All right. Well, I do this for a living. So it was, but that's all right. You can dispute that in court. That is what the court is for. And more than happy to join you there. And I'll get paid 2 hours automatically for my time, even if it takes 5 minutes for you to realize you're a doofus.
Mm-hmm.
You should have just paid it, or do like everybody else, not even show. So I know in the agency you work with, yours is a smaller municipality. You have your own court system, right?
We do.
Okay. So I don't know how your judges are. I know the biggest problem we have is we have judges that just dismiss everything. Even if we get it on camera, blowing the light at 80 miles an hour. Well, she was really nice, or he was really polite, so I'm going to dismiss him. Well, he didn't really do anything. He's going to go, I got away with it. And I am a firm believer in there should be penalties.
I think the judge that we have in our municipal court, he is very, I won't say he will dismiss everything, but he will give people an opportunity to fix it. So whether that's defensive driving, fixing a mechanical defect before the court date, that way they dismiss it. He's all about that.
See, I'm all for that. I pull people over all day long as far as registration, effective tail light, whatever it is. And I tell them, by Texas law, if you correct this prior to court, it gets dismissed because you fixed the problem. We don't need your money. This is one of the richest counties in the state. We don't need your money.
Oh, yeah. Just
fix the problem. Now, if you're speeding, running red lights, running stop signs, well, that's going to be a conversation between you and the judge. I can't help you there. I can only hurt you if I come into court. But the mechanical violations, dude, just fix it.
Oh, yeah.
My goodness. And then you're sitting there, they're talking to, especially women. Hair is done. Nails that cost several $100 to do. Brand new iPhone. Oh, I don't have the money for registration. Are you serious? Do your nails one less time and you'll be able to get your registration done. Inspection and registration. In 2 years, we only have inspection. It's like, come on, guys.
I found that if I point out some of those, I guess let's call it idiosyncrasies.
Don't. They get mad.
They
get agitated.
It's not worth it. It's not worth it. So any fellow law enforcement officers listening out there, maybe you just started and it's come across your mind, you know what? I really want to tell that person that if they don't. spend the $40 on the quad or, that sack of Reggie, and then maybe you get your registration updated.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
And for listeners out there that aren't cops going, well, T-Bone, why does it matter if we update our registration? Well, because we have inspection in the state of Texas, which is a safety inspection that makes sure your car can actually be on the road. That's why. So before you get it re-registered, you have to have it inspected. Tires, brakes, horn, windshield wipers. Yeah, safety. Before we allow this hunk of crap on the road. That's the purpose. I don't care if Texas gets their $22, $60, whatever it is. I don't care. I want to know that the car you're driving around that's got my family, my friends on the road, and around me can actually be safely on the road. That's all I really give a rip about. And that's why I'm kind of not happy about them getting rid of inspections. But it's a conversation for another day.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you right now, we're going to get a lot more business in the traffic world.
You're going to see a lot more funny cars on the road.
Oh, you're going to see cars that definitely shouldn't have been on the road. The hybrids are going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
This is the front, party in the back. 85 El Camino on the front and a Yugo in the rear. They welded it together at their buddy's shop and threw it on the road. Hey, it's a car. Yeah, it's a car.
It's a car. A car is a car is a car.
So it's one of these. This is one of those jobs where you can always find the funny.
Oh, yeah.
It's even in the worst situations. As this being our pilot show, we do want to keep this funny. We're not going to get serious too often because ultimately, I think people find humor. They're more receptive to humor than they are. I don't want to do true crime where we talk about a murder that happened in 1968 in the killing fields. I don't care.
Yeah.
We have other podcasts out there that do a fantastic job at that. We're not trying to copy anybody. We're doing our own thing. We just want it to be funny. Mm-hmm. Maybe the listeners learn something. They send us their own 2 cents when we get our blog up and going, and they can send us their own 2 cents. And ultimately, our ultimate goal is to do a video cast. We're actually going to play funny videos, and we'll critique them. And myself and J-Man have had our own fuck-ups on camera where we look back later and like, Jesus, we were a moron.
Yeah.
We're human, too. We can't throw stones at any other officer because we'll throw a few at ourselves. So we'll make fun of other officers, but there'll be times we talk about our own fuck-ups, and believe me, I got a plenty. And J-Man's got a few, too. I'm sure he's got not as many as I do. My mouth tends to run away with me, which is 90% of my problem on the road with people. I have a short fuse and low tolerance. But it's a lot more fun to be sarcastic with them and then yell at them and just watch their soul die. So, but that's situational.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it with everybody.
No.
You'll pull over people who are just as nice and polite as can be, and you feel almost bad for having just pulled them over to begin with because they're so polite. And the true test comes out when you give them a ticket and they're still polite. And you're like, damn it.
Yeah.
This actually is a nice person because the truth always comes out when you write the ticket.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
you've seen it, I'm sure.
It does. Oh, absolutely. All of a sudden, I don't want to put any generalities about people out there, but sometimes when you pull over, let's say woman, at a certain time at night. All of a sudden, I'm just as good looking as Denzel, Brad Pitt.
You're Idris Elba.
Oh, Idris Elba. Oh yeah. I'm the sexiest man alive until I write the ticket.
Yeah.
Then I'm just as ugly as the curmudgeon.
You're an asshole. You're ugly.
Oh, yeah.
You're probably a faggot.
Oh yeah.
I've heard that one before, and I'm just like, okay, your true colors came out.
Oh yeah. So I gotta laugh at myself too.
But yeah, absolutely. I'm not the world's greatest looking guy, but boy, it seems like I can get a date every time I do a traffic stop if I really wanted to.
You could, yeah.
But I guarantee you give them a warning, cut them off, call them, that number goes to bullshit. So, no, I just give the ticket. When you try that route, you're definitely getting the ticket.
Oh, yeah.
Because, one, cover your ass. You kind of have to these days. But two, show them that, no, justice truly is blind. You're getting the ticket. Now, I've given tickets to the nicest people to the meanest people. I've given them to the richest, the poorest. Driving is an equal opportunity privilege, also an equal opportunity fatality waiting to happen.
Yeah.
So I take it serious because ultimately as a traffic officer, I'm the one spending 6 to 10 hours out there cleaning it up. And then I had the added bonus of going with the sergeant to their house and telling their loved ones are dead. So I take it serious. Yeah. I try to have fun with it. And I try to approach people. And I try to be friendly at first. You know, I've had bad days like anyone else where that just day, it's probably a day I should have just called them to work because it's not a good day. I already know I'm going to have a nasty attitude. But I try to be nice. You know, 7-step violator. We all know that in law enforcement now. We all kind of got conditioned to that. It really is the best way.
Oh, yeah, it helps.
It really is.
It helps.
So-and-so, here's why I stopped you. Give me your license. Get that. All right, here's your citation. Here's your enforcement. Drive safe.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
It cuts down so much the problem. Average traffic stop, if I don't find anything else, 3 minutes. They're gone. There's no reason to postpone this. They're already in a bad mood. They're just getting worse by the minute as you're sitting back there writing it. They're in their car fuming.
Yeah.
So
I do agree with one officer that I kind of watch his videos on YouTube. He kind of talks about he tries to like see it from everyone else's shoes and of course in our shoes.
Would this be Deputy Slope? Pinal County Traffic?
No.
It's one of my heroes.
I'm forgetting his name.
Listeners, look him up.
I'm forgetting his name. If once I remember and look it up, I'll mention it next time. But yeah, kind of sees it. You know, we're intruding on someone's day, but for the reason of driving safety or because of these defects that need to have these to operate the vehicle on the road. So you always just want to make sure you try to be as courteous as possible.
I do my best. I try to be polite. I try to be polite up front.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Hey, I'm so and so. Hey, look, here's the best option. Not a big giant deal, but it is a safety issue. Or you're speeding. You're doing 85 miles an hour on 65. That is a fatality speed. You know, the faster you're going, the less time you had to react. Just slow down for me, please. And I wasn't going that fast. It wasn't me. You didn't catch me. Or I was going with the flow of traffic. You heard it all. If you're in the left lane passing cars that are standing still, you're not going with the flow of traffic. Either you're trying to catch up to the group that was ahead of you, or you're trying to outpace the group behind you. It doesn't work that way.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how you do it, but the way I do it is I just set the cruise control, sit in the right lane, and just let the idiots pass me. And I'm in an unmarked vehicle as a traffic officer. Well, subdued marks. I don't have the overhead lights. You know, it's not an obvious police car. And they zip right by me 100 miles an hour, and I hit the lights, go after them, and where were you hiding? In lane 2 when you went right by me at 100. No, you were hiding somewhere. In plain sight.
I know.
And you've heard that, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Where you at? Hiding. I was right there. I was looking right at you.
Especially when I work nights, because I would always keep my headlights on. I would sit there and I'd just watch an intersection that is known for people to run stop signs or the red lights. And that's an issue, especially when I was working night shift, because at certain times you got a high amount of traffic, could be impaired, could be leaving a concert, something. And people are going to take more risks, especially if they're more intoxicated. And it's just always funny. I'm like, did you not see me sitting right there? Well, where? I was right there with my headlights on.
Mm-hmm.
No, you weren't. No, trust me. The dash cam will tell you. If you go to court and contest it, the dash cam will show you. Yeah. Never turned my headlights off once.
Let's talk about body cameras and dash cameras for a minute, because this was a highly contested thing when they first came out. Officers like, it's going to impair our effectiveness. It's going to screw us. Well, I have learned, and I'm a big fan of body cameras. Big fan of dash cameras.
Oh, yeah,
it has saved me more than it's ever screwed me.
Mm-hmm.
It has shown the public what we deal with on a daily basis. So when everyone thinks you're just being these big bad meanies in blue that are just picking on people.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Now they're starting to learn, the ones that are paying attention, that that was not the case.
Well, yeah, especially when you have motion to suppress hearings, not for probable cause, but for body camera evidence, because it shows their client a negative light.
Yep.
So they file a motion to suppress the body cam footage, which is like its greatest irony in this law enforcement profession, because that's the whole point.
Absolutely. Amen, brother. You nailed it. You nailed it in one.
That's the whole point.
That's what happened.
But the fact that some lawyers have successfully suppressed body-worn camera makes no sense to me.
I've always looked at it this way. If the probable cause for the stop was legal and the elements of the offense existed for the arrest, then everything should be admissible.
Oh, yeah.
Now, if the officer screwed up, well, that's on the officer. Shame on him. Or if he just screwed up on accident because you're a human being, hey, look, it happens. Get him another day.
Oh, yeah.
But this whole suppressing evidence crap, just because the lawyer doesn't like how his client looks, that is what happened.
Oh, yeah.
That is what happened. Now, maybe the officer lost his cool, too. Maybe he said some things he shouldn't have or cussed him out. But you know what, folks? No one ever died from being called an idiot. If that's true, I kill people every day. Because I call people idiots all the time. You drive like an idiot, I'm going to call you an idiot. Mm-hmm. It's that simple. Sometimes people need to hear that. This society's gotten too soft where words hurt. And I'm going to die for my feelers. Okay, but sometimes you need to be called an idiot. It is what it is.
It is what it is,
especially driving a 5,000-pound vehicle.
Oh, yeah.
You're an idiot. You're trying to meet Jesus. Now, I don't care if the driver doesn't wear a seatbelt. I can care less. Don't care.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't care less if I tried. But the passengers or children, that's a different story, especially when I see a 2-year-old run around the back seat. That ticks me off.
Oh, yeah.
That I give no breaks for.
Oh, yeah.
And don't tell me this I can't get a car seat crap, because fire stations have them. You can just go by a fire station. You can go by a Goodwill, and they'll give you one for $2.
They will.
So there's certain things I don't bend on just because it's not worth the life. The driver, if he wants to go through the windshield, well, that's his business, and I hope he's got a hard head. But the passenger shouldn't have to pay the price for the crappy driving of the driver.
Right.
Sometimes it's not even the driver that caused it. The other car caused it, but they're still just as dead. So there's some things I don't bend on. Others are things I look at and go, whatever. It's not my forte, so to speak. We all have our little fortes.
Yeah.
Me, I love fake license plates.
Same.
That's my bread and butter.
Same.
I teach it for a reason. It's a felony. It's an easy stop all day long. You're an idiot. You got a salvage car. It's uninsured. You can't get insured. You got no license, and you're defrauding the state. Plus, the added bonus of you commit a crime and drive off, someone gets the plate number, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
That's my problem with it.
Oh,
so those are my favorites. And where we're at, huge amounts of it.
You can find temp tags being sold in New York City is where I've seen one.
For Texas.
Temp tag. Guys were going around and robbing people on the streets. I can't remember which borough. But the one thing I remember from that article, big old Texas temp tag. It's just insane.
And I'm sure it didn't even exist when you ran it.
No. So the Texas temp tag, for us in Texas specifically, is a problem.
Well, you got counties like Bear, counties like Harris, counties like Travis, counties like Dallas, counties like Fort Worth, El Paso, Corpus Christi, Laredo, where they're massive. It's a massive fraud problem. And I want to say the state loses like $250 million a year annually just from toll fees, registration fees in these cars.
Yeah.
And then if it's a salvage vehicle, it's salvaged for a reason.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes that could just be the bank didn't want to pay the money to fix the fender because the fender was worth more than the car was worth. But then you get the ones that it was such a severe crash that car is no longer safe to be on the road.
Right, absolutely.
There's a safety defect. But let's drive it anyway and throw this fake tag on there so no one can tell. Well, when you run the plate, folks, it doesn't come back. Guess what? You're getting stopped.
You're going to get stopped.
And then run the VIN number on the car, and the truth comes out when you run the VIN, and, well, start me a tow. Sorry, I'm taking your car from you. I mean, it is what it is.
Oh, yeah.
Ultimately, folks, law enforcement is not just about enforcing laws. It is about saving lives. And through enforcement actions like speeding, fail to signal, fail to yield, we may potentially save a life with each one of those stops because we don't know down the road if you'd have gotten into a crash. Can't assume it, but the probabilities are higher the faster you go.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I'm sure you were the same. When I was a kid, I put my foot in the gas everywhere I went. I had to be 100 miles an hour everywhere I went because I didn't realize it, didn't understand it. It didn't. Yeah. I'm a teenager. I'm a dumbass.
Yeah.
As an adult now, I set the cruise to the speed limit, and I just tootle along, and I let the idiots pass me because I've learned a long time ago that I will get there if I just take my time. I will get there.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm there.
Yeah.
I didn't lose anything by being 10 seconds earlier or later than I would have been.
And it's always funny. I've always seen it a handful of times. Guys doing 90, passing by me on the highway. We exit, same exit, and I catch up to them at the light.
Yep.
All that driving, all that weaving in traffic, showing us that you're Mario Andretti. We're freaking Mario on freaking Rainbow Road. Yep. And you still ended up at the same light that I did. Good job, buddy.
Yep.
Good job.
Yep. I'm very proud of you. Oh, like that gas you burned. What are you getting? 8 miles a gallon when you're doing 100?
Yeah.
I'm in my Silverado getting about 19 miles a gallon, just doing 65 down the highway. It cost me nothing. And you look stupid when I pull behind you with the light and I'm laughing. So folks, we've covered a lot of things here today. We hope you enjoyed it. This is the first of what we hope to be many. Well, we'll get a little more structured, a little more linear as we do it, but we want to keep it loose, and we want you guys to enjoy the show. We want you guys to get something out of it, even if it's just humor, even if it just makes you smile. You got something out of it. And for any maybe new law enforcement officers out there, maybe they learned a thing or two. I'm an old FTO traffic officer, worked gang unit. I've pretty much done most and seen it all. I can't say I've seen it all because there's always something that'll surprise you, but it's getting rarer and rarer to surprise me. J-Man's the same way. There's not much that surprises him anymore. The faces change, the actions don't.
Yeah.
But we want people to learn something from this, and that's why we want to have a little bit of education every show. It can't all just be humor. Sometimes you're going to learn something you didn't know. And when we do get this set up and we get our blog up to where people can ask us questions, we're more than happy to answer your questions, listeners. It's absolutely. But we want to try and keep it funny. We are never going to talk about current active cases because they have not been adjudicated yet. So
absolutely,
we're not going to talk about that. If we do talk about a specific case, it's going to be something that's long over and done and public record. As I said, both of us are still active duty law enforcement, so there's certain lines we're not going to cross on this show for good reason. We don't need to incur the wrath of our respective administrations.
Yeah,
we hope if they're hearing it, Chief, if you're hearing this, I hope you think it's funny. We're not going to denigrate our own agencies. We're not going to denigrate any other agencies. We're going to try to keep the shit talking about other officers to bare minimum. If you're an officer who's done something incredibly criminally stupid, well then, sorry.
Hey, fair game.
You made that choice.
Yep.
But if you do something just dumb because we're human beings as cops, we're probably going to make fun of you, but there's a lesson to be learned in whatever he did, and we'll learn it and go, okay, don't do that. So there's always lessons learned. I learned more from my screw-ups than I learned from my successes. I learned far more from my failures.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And when you're standing tall in front of your sergeant getting your ass ripped in half and going, okay, don't do that again. Luckily I work for good supervisors that they don't rip out the paper, immediately document it. They give you a chance to see if you're going to screw it up again. And then if you screwed up again, same thing. Well, you were warned.
Yeah.
You're a dumbass.
And it's fair. Yeah.
But if you didn't, hey, moving on. I got good bosses. Fortunately, I work for very good sergeants, very good lieutenants that just don't do that again.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Thank you, sir. I'll take care of the complaint. Just don't do it again. Some things are unavoidable. You're going to get the complaints that just go to internal affairs crying like a little girl because their feelers got hurt. And then you got to go to internal affairs and explain why you said what you said. And you get a reprimand or a one-day rip. Okay, fine. You know what? It is what it is. If you can't not successfully do this job and not end up in internal affairs at least once.
Oh, yeah. And people don't, and just to understand something, just a small little quick tidbit. Internal affairs is not just for Serpico or this grand conspiracy to go out there and punish everybody. You can go to internal affairs just because you missaid one thing out of a whole traffic stop.
Yeah.
So, yeah, absolutely.
Internal affairs, as much as I'm not a giant fan of internal affairs, they do have a job to do. If you screwed up, well, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
If you knew it, you did it anyway. Well, that's on you.
Yeah.
But there should be accountability for law enforcement officers and internal affairs where they peel through it and correct your behaviors.
Oh, yeah.
To stop you from doing something that's stupid again.
Absolutely.
Hopefully it's not a career ender. And most times it really isn't. Most times it's going to be a smack on the wrist, maybe a reprimand, maybe a suspension, but that might usually be the end of it as long as you cooperate. And yes, sir, I'm sorry. Don't do it again. By and large, internal affairs is not going to screw you. So, folks, we hope you enjoyed the show. Lots more to come. One thing you never run out of in this job is humor.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure when I go to work tomorrow, I'm going to run into humor left, right, and center all day long. Something as simple as just someone who, I don't want to get into it. I've seen it. I'll see it again. I'm sure you'll all hear about it, listeners. But we hope you enjoyed the show. J-Man, thank you for joining me.
Oh, yeah, will do.
This is my partner in preventing crime, so to speak. He's my partner in crime.
Partner preventing crime.
Even though he is from Baltimore, I don't hold that against him. He escaped it, and by God and grace, he got his ass down here to Texas, where he's one of the finest law enforcement officers I've ever had the pleasure of working with. And I always know I'm going to have a good day. If I ever get to work with him, we're going to have a good day together. But please check the show out more. And as we get rolling more and more, we'll have video cast to it and links to funny videos, stuff like that. But this is our inaugural show, and we do appreciate you joining. J-Man, you got anything to add for the crowd before we call tonight?
No, I got nothing to add. Hopefully you guys check out the show more. Like I said, we're going to have more content. Come check us out. I think people will find a good, interesting dynamic.
All right. I like it. We'll keep it up. So y'all have a good night. Everybody stay safe. Keep your head in the swivel and your ears peeled. Y'all have a good night.
Good night.
Hey, if you like the show, check us out on Twitter or Instagram. Both are at T-Bone and J-Man. Like, follow, subscribe, send it out to your friends, send it out to your family. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to reach us there and we'll give you a shout out on the show.